Alright. We are back with another game from Steven. That's right, one of my favorite Smooth Brain players because he's a bloody high level player. And you know that by the fact that he in this game is playing a Zerg vs Protoss up against Ranger. That's right, the #1 player in Malaysia and one of the players who's been very high ranked in the last few Oceanic, Rest of Asia regionals. A player who I regularly run into and get my butt kicked by on the ladder. So you know this is a solid GM match, and what's so exciting about this is Steven's already sending 2 drones across the map because it's Steven. I've told the backstory so many times about how Steven, honestly, has just created so many funny games over the years. Used to play with 400 ping every game, so he developed his own style where he was just constantly screwing with his opponents, forcing them to make mistakes, creating chaos and weird scenarios and all this stuff. And you can see he's coming in, he's trying to gas steal, but Ranger is blocking it. And yeah, he basically figured out how to play a very imperfect style of StarCraft. He's going to hatchery block and try to deny the gas, but doesn't manage to get the gas block up. Ranger should be able to just take that gas geyser if he wants to, but of course, doesn't really want a second gas. He wants to get, I think, 2 gates and a cyber core to deal with this hatchery block. So Steven being very annoying with the double drone harass, but it's a very inefficient opening overall. Now, he has built an overlord. He's up to 19 supply, but he's going to go for a 3rd hatchery behind this. 4 or 5 probes get pulled down to attack the hatchery, but not very early. It's already got 600 hit points, so I actually don't know if this is the right call for Ranger because now he doesn't have enough minerals to build the cyber core. So, and he's still blocking the gas. So he's losing a lot of mining here with this probe and this probe and these probes. So he's actually got 8 probes that aren't mining right now. Only now gets a 2nd pylon started. Still can't afford a cyber core, which very importantly slows down his adept counterattack against a Zerg who hasn't even built a spawning pool yet. Hasn't even started a spawning pool. The cyber core finally goes down now. The Zealot will start clearing this hatchery, but Ranger, I think, definitely not necessarily, I don't think he's falling behind, but he's getting in a position which is way more awkward than it had to be. The spawning pool goes down at 2 minutes. For context, that's 45 seconds later than a normal hatchery first into spawning pool. A cancel on the hatchery and an Evo chamber goes down. Steven's like, you're not allowed to expand anytime today. Ranger is building a pylon at the base. Okay, this game is already shit hitting the fan, and I knew this would be good. So I talked about Steven and his backstory. Ranger plays Protoss versus Zerg, and pretty much all matchups like a Terran player. Ranger basically has one gear, and that is attack! Is one of the most YOLO Protoss players in the world. Really good micro, great blink micro, great disruptor micro, and just absolutely crazy. So you take the fight to him like Steven is here, and you can see Ranger's just counterattacking. Steven only now seeing this shield battery. He's got to stop thinking about hatchery blocking. He's got to build some units to defend, but his spawning pool's not even done. And there's already shield batteries coming up at his base. We've got Zealots coming across the map. Adepts are coming out behind it. This drone looks like it will be going down. Ranger's finally, no, he goes into the extractor. Steven, the absolute Chad gamer that he is, keeps it alive. Now he's building a couple spines, realizing, okay, this could get really messy. As long as he doesn't lose the hatchery, I think he's okay. But this is allowing Ranger to keep the worker advantage. Up 6 workers, starting to bank up gas mining, and he could potentially go for an expansion whenever this does fizzle out. I don't think he's going to get the win with this, right? Because it's just 2 Zealots with 2 Adepts behind it, but he could cause a big ruckus. It's a massive investment, though. I've got a question. Is this really worth it as an investment? The Zealot's doing good. The Adepts there. Oh, Steven gets a surround on the first Adept. Oh, big mistake for Ranger. And then the Zealot gets surrounded before the batteries. Oh, no, he's losing all of his damage before the batteries are even up. Now, though, the batteries do splendid. There we go. The Zerglings start to go down. Spinecrawler's going to have to come down to clean this up. Queen already taking a lot of damage. She's going to pull back. Another pylon going down. Ranger, I told you guys he has no chill. By all I mean, for all intents and purposes, he should back out of this and expand right now, but he is still rallying Adepts across the map, thinking about taking an expansion as well. The Queens do clean up those units, and it looks like this has been held, but there are Adepts here. They can shade into the main. You got to remember those Adepts can shade into the main base, but he's got 3 Zerglings there. Should be able to handle that. Steven's on top of it. Yes, he is. And he blocks it. He blocks it so that the Adept can't actually get in the corner. She manages to focus down a drone and a Zergling, but the other Queen is there on top of that other Adept. Spinecrawler is starting to clean this up. Adept also taking damage from the Queen at the front. So these Adepts, they're getting in there, but their shields are already mostly gone. It is 23 drones to 26, 2 hatcheries to 26 workers. A Nexus and a Stargate does start up at home. The Adepts are going to go in. Ling Speed's finished, though, and so they should be able to kill at least one of these Adepts. A few more Lings going to be able to do some damage, but there we go. Roach Warren's on the way for Steven as well. So Steven's thinking about doing a Roach attack, maybe? He's building a few Overlords. He could just drone up here and drop a 3rd. Both are feasible options, but look at the chaos that is being caused in this game. And as it goes to this point, I mean, Ranger's got Oracles that can harass. And he's got an Adept also causing a ruckus. And this means this could actually balance out. The Adept comes in. Okay, good Spore Tricks. Great micro by Steven. This could actually really balance out. Because especially if Ranger gets all these idle probes back to work, he's got a Nexus up, Warp Gate, more Adepts on the way, has an Oracle coming across the map. But Steven is going for 9 roaches. The problem is that's going to get spotted by the Oracle. And then just a single Void Ray will easily defend that. Not to mention Oracle's not too bad themselves. So Steven here, can he surprise? I mean, the roaches aren't popping just yet. Let's watch Ranger's Oracle. He should see the roaches popping out, and he does see just that. But there's no Spore Crawler. Big damage coming in for the Oracle. And he spots this coming as well. But the Oracle does take big damage. Barely gets out of there in time. Meanwhile, the Zerglings are distracting. Ranger builds a shield battery, but he doesn't have a lot of firepower. And those roaches are coming across this map. Does he try to go for the Void Ray here? I think that would probably be the easiest. Oracle tagged onto that Overlord right now. There we go. Void Ray's on the way, but it's going to take a little bit of time. I think he should full wall his base, really, but the shield battery is always going to be a weak spot in that wall either way. Behind this, Steven is droning on up, realizing he's not going to get a kill move. He goes back to droning up the main and transferring in there, and the roaches are going to arrive. The battery's going to do a little bit. He's going to try and shade backwards. The Oracles have a good amount of energy, so they can actually kill these roaches pretty well. And it doesn't look like Steven should be able to get too much damage. Nice Biles, though. Okay, very good Biles. And remember, batteries only have 300 hit points, so they're not a good building to wall off with. I think these probes should just run away and let the Void Rays clean it up. Ranger trying to fight with the probes, but it's not a good choice. He loses a lot of workers here. Battery overcharge does go down, starts to heal up these units. The roaches are managing to actually get quite a lot of probe kills. The Void Ray finally gets down here and cleans this up, but not before Steven's done some pretty massive damage. And that gives himself a leg up in this game, and a very important one, because his economy is in absolute friggin' shambles from that Oracle Adept counter pressure, and he doesn't have a third hatchery. So you might be like, oh, he's up 12, 13 workers. Is that good? Yes. There's no tech, though, in terms of the Zerg. Where's the Evo chambers? Where's that third hatchery? Only now going down. And there's still 2 Oracles, Void Rays cleaning up, Overlords getting follow-up damage. So there's still some very good tech on the map for Ranger, and you got to remember that Ranger is an incredibly skilled pro player. So he's always going to be the favorite in this match. Steven coming in at very rarely over 5k MMR, but sometimes is 5.1, 5.2. Ranger's regularly 5.5, 5.6. So, you know, 300 to 500 MMR advantage, I would imagine, in this matchup. He's now back up to 34 workers. Thinking about that third Nexus, it does go down. The Oracle's doing a good job. Void Ray's roaming the map as well. And a third Oracle is out. Remember that Steven didn't have that third hatchery finish, so he wasn't able to get that big economic lead that you would expect off that Roach push. And now Ranger is routing out his plays. So despite all the chaos, we're getting back towards a more even scenario here. Especially if these Oracles, I mean, they could maybe even just fight those Queens. They do have Transfuse, but we'll see. Oh, Ranger's just going to go for the old stasis strat. Quick, Steven, run! Oh, pulls back a little bit. Oh, and he turns around way too early there. Steven gets a Queen and a lot of drones frozen up. These Oracles are kind of low on energy, though. The Queens are going to initiate, and he even targets the low hit point Oracle. Very cute by him. Make sure he has to push back. Spore Crawler immediately down there. But Oracles and Void Ray are going to try and come in. Oh, wow. Very brave maneuver here from Ranger. He gets a Queen. Does he get another one? Oh, yes, but he loses an Oracle for it. Void Ray is overhead. It's going to try and target down the hatchery. Don't know if that's going to work out or not, but behind this, you've got third and fourth gateway up. Forge and Twilight getting ready as well. The Void Ray will have to back off, but there's still 2 Oracles up, and that worker count's very even. But the Hydralisk Den is on the way. Steven's thinking about Hydralisk plays. And what tech do we see out? Stalkers? Probably Blink play, I would imagine, for Ranger. He is an absolute massive fan of the Blink Stalkers. And yeah, he does go for Blink here. Oracles are a bit low on energy, can't do much right now. But they would like to see that Hydra Den, and indeed they do. They should also spot the Hydras popping out. Now, I can't quite remember. Does Revelation stay on the unit as it pops out of the egg, if the egg is tagged? We'll find out in a second here. As, does it keep that little white symbol on it when it pops? Show me, show me, show me. No, it does not. It does break off. Oh, Adept Shade in. They get instantly killed by those Hydras popping. Perfect timing on that. And we've got a few Zerglings out front as well. Groove Spines is on the way. Muscular Augments queuing up behind that. That's a big Hydra Zergling push that's coming across this map. And he doesn't really have many units left. Just what? A few air units, 2 sentries, 4 stalkers. How many gateways? There's 4 gateways up. It's going to try and get up to 6 gateways. There are shield batteries in both the natural and the third, though. And that combined with just force fields, more stalkers, could be very effective. I think the force fields, I don't know how that's going to go, though, because Hydras do have 5 range. They can kind of shoot over those force fields pretty well. They'll have 6 range when the upgrade finishes in about 30 seconds as well. And behind this, trying to desperately get the upgrades, the gateways. Got to keep warping in units. The army's going to move down. He could... Oh, force field there would be killer. He could separate the Zerglings, but Ranger goes for the very conservative force fields a little bit further back. The Zerglings getting on in there, man. The Stalkers and the Sentries need to help defend. Zealots are there, but oh, the angling. Look at that big arc of Hydras now with the Lings tanking. It's very scary to fight into that because Ranger just doesn't have a lot of firepower. Uses his probes there, gets a good surround, but he's very afraid to attack into the Hydras. And you know what? It's a good choice to give this up because Steven's economy is not that big. 45 drones for Steven here. And he's going to realize, okay, I don't know if I can actually kill. He might try and swarm him, but stasis traps, force fields... Yeah, he goes in. The Zerglings do get the surround, but great micro by Ranger. He only loses 1 sentry and slows down that advance very well. I would like to see Ranger's Stalkers on this side fighting while healing with the shield batteries at the same time. Stasis trap, once again, surrounding those units, keeping back those Hydras temporarily. Battery overcharge goes in. Does this Stalker at the front survive? Yeah, with the Blink micro, you really are overextending as Steven here. Because if one big more Stalker weapon comes in, suddenly, if you lose these Hydras, you're in huge trouble. So Steven's got to get out of there. He's overextended right now. He's got to get some more Zerglings. And this is what I'm talking about. The Stalkers could hunt you down. These are very expensive units to be losing. The Zerglings die as they pop out. The Hydras do manage to get back. Zergling is blocking the third. Steven is so annoying. He knows that Ranger wants that third Nexus so very badly. So he micros the Zergling in a circle because he's such a dickhead. I love it. +1 melee, +1 range on the way. We've got Hydras building all over the place. Oracles coming down the south side, trying to see if they can maybe get some more harassment. And 6 Dropper Lords are on the way for Steven. Ranger's trying to mine out this back base, but he might get hit by a drop soon after. I mean, Ranger was at pretty similar economy this whole time. Steven might have a third up, but he's only on 47 workers, so he's not really making full use of the extra bases that he has. And that's why even though Steven should be miles ahead, because he hasn't built that extra 10 or 15 workers to use the third and the fourth, he's not actually way up. Now he builds 16 drones, but it's the delay on that, right? Steven, like many cheesy weirdo players, he's always focused on effing with his opponent more than he is with building his economy. And that comes with strengths. It means he's very good at getting under his opponent's skin, throwing them off their game, but it does come with the downside of sometimes he could be miles ahead, and instead he's like, okay, he's 2 steps ahead, but he should be 3 or 4 steps ahead of his opponent. It really should be in the bag. But now Ranger's fighting back, dude. Equal workers. Third base is coming up, adding Archons and Zealots, which will crush the Zerglings. They'll also crush the Hydras if they can get on top of them. But Steven here, man, where is he dropping? He goes to the south, then he goes back to the north with this drop. If he stumbles into that army, that's really bad. He's got to make sure he does not get caught. If he gets blinked on there, he'll lose his whole army and be dead in the water. Steven's army is very small right now as well. He's building more Zerglings, but that's an Archon army, which is so good at cleaning that up. But the drop coming in, Ranger doesn't see this. You got to remember, Ranger's being kind of pinned back in his corner. He's going to take this top base soon. He's getting Storm, attack upgrades. He's doing a lot of good things. And he's also killed 13 drones in total this game. But here comes that drop. Ranger's only about to see it now at the last second. Here we go. Big Doom drop in the natural. The army's off to the right side. They're going to take a little while to respond. You can see the army coming over now. The Hydraling doing big damage. This army, the Archons, can't even get through the wall. So this is really hard for Ranger to defend. He's going to recall a few of those Archons onto the Hydra Zergling right now. But, oh my god, the Lings are already in the main. He tries to focus down the Nexus, doesn't quite kill it on this natural. In the main base, he's got so much damage done, though. Up to 41 workers killed. Massive damage here for Steven. More Lings coming across the front. That will not be a good fight. Get out of there, Steven. Good pullback by Steven. Does get back 4 now, but he gets the Oracles. Oh, that's huge. That was all the scouting vision. There is still one Void Ray that could try and guard up here, but there's no Oracles left to tag the Zerg army. The Zerg army right now, 8 Hydras, 54 Zerglings, some Banelings morphing, double Lurker Den and a Hive going down. Steven wants to get those Lurker upgrades at the same time. He's going +2 range, +2 melee. His Hydra army is so small though, only 8 Hydras. So he's still playing a very fancy but very fragile, high damage, volatile style. It can work out really well, or it can fall apart pretty horribly. Ranger trying to recover. He's licking his wounds. He's making High Templar for Psystorm. His Psystorm has now kicked in. He's got a few Storms in this army. 2 Psystorms available. Some Force Fields as well. Ooh, nice. Maybe a little wasteful on those Force Fields. I mean, a little wasteful. It's very overlapped there. But the Lurkers come forward and do defend this base for now. Ranger definitely needs to hold that probe key down. If he wants to recover in the macro game, he's got to do it. But I think he's really focused on trying to win the game with this attack. He's going to try and move in a few more High Templar. You do not want to lose those High Templar out of the open. It's really hard for him because he's got all of his spellcasters on one control group. So he has to tab between sentries Void Rays, Stalkers, and the High Templar. Mostly the Sentries and the High Templar, the actual spellcasters. So we'll have to see how quick he can be on swapping between those. Zealots come in on the right side. They're going to hit the spine, but Baneling Lurker crushes his front line of Zealots. And the Queen's going to come over. Can she transfuse? Oh, she transfuses! She transfuses! She transfuses! Oh my god, 4 transfuses to keep the Spy Crawler alive. And it does mean it actually slows the Zealots down a fair bit, but won't actually defend them in of itself. Lurkers are still trying to move around and defend. Zealots on the south side get a few drones. Uh-oh. Steven was so far ahead, but he hasn't started his Lurker upgrades yet. He's on the defensive. This Observer being really tricky here, doing some damage. Steven only has 1 Queen to shoot up. The Void Ray is going to kill a couple of Lurkers here, which is huge. Gets 1 Lurker. Great micro by Steven, though. Does pull that Lurker back, and of course it can't see it. The Queen does defend. Meanwhile, though, oh, even in the midst of being pinned back, yes, he loses his 5th. Yes, he's taking damage, but the Lurker Baneling is going to get on top, killing a few of the High Templar, pushing them back, and there's a mass Ling drop in the main. Stalkers warp in. He sees it coming, but Stalkers won't defend this on their own. They're going to have to pull back to the choke point, but they're not holding the chokes. The Lings are getting the surface area. The Lings are doing big damage. They're getting in the natural at the same time. Stalkers blink in here, though. Ranger, I told you guys, he's a Terran player, basically. He's aggressive like a Terran. He always just keeps attacking. Archon drop in the main will defend this base. The Battery and the Immortal should be able to defend in the natural. The Stalkers come in, get a bunch of drones on that side. The Lurkers trying to get back to defend, but look at this move, getting big dividends. He's going to focus the hatchery down, is Ranger. Ranger with the Battery overcharge, defends in the natural, still on 42 probes, takes down a bunch of the Overlords on the retreat, but a lot of these Stalkers do go down. Oh, every single Stalker dies. So even though he knocks Steven back to just the initial 3 bases mining, most of which are out, he does lose a lot of units in the process. Trying to rebuild right now is Ranger. This game's an absolute shit show. I still can't believe Steven, in the midst of being pinned back and hit in 3 places, loaded up that Ling drop. That was such a huge swing back in his favor. And now Ranger, oh damn, did he do that on purpose? He doesn't have any High Templar left. Storm annihilates this Hydraling, but he morphed everything into Archons, which, I mean, it can work out okay, but you got to be real cautious with that. The Lurker drop coming in on the high ground as well. The whole Immortal Archon army moves to the south. Steven never done with his drippy droppies. He says, hey, dickhead, let's go. He's already got Adaptive Talons almost finished. Unfortunately, even though he has 2 Lurker dens, no, he forgot to use the second one. He's queued up both upgrades on the same one. Lurkers do siege in range of one of those bases. The Immortal Archon coming back. He's going to try and drop Immortals on top, but he doesn't have any detection right now. Uh-oh. Here we go, big Ling Hydra drop coming up as well. So the army is thinking about coming up there. The Immortals try to unload, but definitely cannot fight into those Lurkers, Ranger. Big ball! Big ball! Oh, gets a Hydra and almost kills 4 Lurkers. Those Lurkers very damaged. Another Disruptor comes up, gets only 1 Lurker though. Great dodge there by Mr. Steven. Steven trying to be so annoying to deal with, so hard to hold down. The Lings are going to clear the main. The Oracle goes down before it can revelate. There is an Observer here, though. He could still clean this out with the help of that Observer, even though all the Archons are just milling about on the low ground like dumbasses. The Immortals get focused down, as do the Observers. More Hydras on the south side run in here at the same time. An opportunistic dive. And he's going to take out a bunch of those units, as well as potentially this new 4th base. Lings are still tearing up the main. Sorry about that observing, guys. Tries to drop a Disruptor, but still can't get rid of this. The last Archon goes down. There's still a Hydra there. And yet another Observer might go down. But no, it gets outside of Overseer range. So, of course, that could not be spotted anymore. But it moves back. Oh, no. The Hydralisk does kill that Observer. The Hydras down here did go down, but there's Lings still in the base. So many workers going down. Up to 72 probes killed this game. Steven, as always, bringing the action, bringing the highlight reel. Rangers struggling to hang on. His Archons are still milling about willy-nilly, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. They can't figure out where their head is, where their butt is, and where the heck they're meant to be going or what they're meant to be fighting. More Ling Hydra coming in the south side. Ranger on 22 probes. He's on his last legs. The Archon's going to take down those Dropper-Lords. Nice little drippy droppy to chase those down so they couldn't get out of there. The army's not that big for Steven. And it's just 8 Hydras and mostly Zerglings, but he's got +3 range, +3 melee on the way. He's got this 4th base back up and fully mining does Steven. And Ranger morphing more and more Archons. No Storm for him, which I think is a bit of a bummer. Because yes, Immortal Archon's important to deal with the Lurkers, but a few Storms to blanket the Hydraling is just a game changer. Here we go. Baneling's coming forwards. Ooh, I mean, they clear the Zealots well, but then the Archons tank a lot of that. And man, Steven's chasing back what might be the superior Protoss force. Archon flank drops in, but of course, the Prism very vulnerable to that. Battery overcharge does go down. tries to quickly heal these Archons up and the Prism as quickly as he can. Zealot's warping in, he's going to try and come in, but I think that was another Observer going down from behind. Where's the detection? There's one Observer out, but I don't know if it's here right now. He's going to try and go forwards with the flank. Nice engage for Ranger. Beautiful surround. The Observer's a little slow to get in here, but he crushes the Hydras. The Observer gets here, and he finally cleans up the Lurkers on the ground. One Immortal goes down. The Hydras try to focus the Observer, but the Lurker does die before that goes down. Steven actually taking a kind of awful engagement there, letting that army get surrounded, and then clicking all those Hydras in just for one Observer. And that does give one scary army moment here for Ranger, where he's actually got an almost even army supply. Quickly though, Hydras are building. Those 3/3 upgrades are going to finish for the Zerg as well. The counterattack will come for Ranger, but it is a desperate counterattack. He's got 2 sentries on the north and a Zealot. That is not a counterattack. That there is a sad trickle. It's a trickle of Protoss sadness, much like the sentry's attack beam. It's disruption beam, which, I mean, yeah, that's basically what you would call a disruption beam. I still don't know why a disruptor is called a disruptor, because disrupt, it means to interrupt something. A disruptor doesn't interrupt shit. A disruptor ends a conversation. It is a conversation ender. It is a destroyer of units. This is a disruption beam. This is a trickle of sadness. Look at when these sentries attack and look at the damage output on it. You tell me that isn't just a sign of absolute despair for a Protoss player playing against a giant Zerg army. More Ling drops getting ready to go in the back door on the north side. Go, sentry! Trickle beam of sadness. They kill one Zergling almost instantly, but that's just about it. The Archon on the top side does accidentally part there. The Zerglings go for a nice little drippy droppy. They surround the Archon. Very cute plays here by Steven, but he's going to lose the Overlords as well, so continuing the very inefficient trades that he's been doing for a while. Adrenal Glands is on the way for him as well. Where's his army at, man? 17 Hydras. Not much else right now. No Lurkers or anything like that. He's going to try and morph some, but the army's already on top of him. This is not a good moment or position to morph Lurkers right on the front line like that. But the force fields kind of work against Ranger. Ranger doesn't have a lot of ranged firepower. Good Storm. Good juicy Storm. He's going to try and get in on top of these Lurkers, but nice Hydra Micro so far. Another great Psy Storm. Oh, the Lurkers are just barely going to finish. There's one Observer in there, so he can see them, but he just doesn't have the firepower. Ranger is going to get defeated here. Steven, the double drone harass in the early game, and Ranger just not knowing how to respond to that, right? It was hatchery block, assimilator block, random roach counter pressure into drops of Ling Hydra, into more Ling drops, into more Ling drops, into crazy Hydralisk pushes on the front. And the Lurker's check switch as well was just so hard for this economically broken Ranger to handle. He's trying to now recover economically, and he's got a Disruptor on the way, which is of course great, but there are more Dropalords morphing right now. Where are they? Okay, we've got 2 more Dropalords, so he's going to keep doing double Zergling drops to the top of the map. Steven, you legend. He sees no base in the bottom. The Ling comes in there as well, sees that, as well as the Changelings. The Overseer will fly through the base, and that's going to allow him to say, oh, okay, you're mining that inside base. So, you know what? You actually have an economy. Steven's economy is not looking that fantastic. And he's going to have to go for what? Ling drop in the top, Lurker Hydra Bane push on the bottom. Not a bad way to do it. Ranger's building up High Templar energy, but he keeps morphing Archons. I really wish he would save a bit more High Templar energy and really preserve that, of course. It's kind of, which bad decision do you make? Because he doesn't have a lot of money. He wishes he had a much meatier front line than what he does. Couple cannons and batteries going to try and hold off the advance, and you know what, with Storms, with Disruptors, he can absolutely take a very efficient fight. He just doesn't know this army's here, and he has nothing to defend. The double drop in the back, hopefully he has warp-ins available. Double Ling drop comes in, big Zealot warp-in, very nice, and he's got some Stalkers there, but that does weaken his front line. Oh no, the High Templar! He's not watching. Ranger loses all of his High Templar and the Disruptor without a single Storm or Disruptor shot going off. That's going to be it. That's going to be it. That was his entire army. He's got one Archon who's like, hey guys, oh, please stop. And they gets one shot off before going down. Few Zealots coming in. The battery overcharge ain't going to do jack. The Observer gets focused down, which means Ranger can't even see where all these units are. Only the one Lurker that's in cannon range is being spotted. All the battery energy is getting taken down by this Lurker siege. Zealots trying to come in from every which way, but they're disjointed. And it's an impossible scenario for Rangers. Steven has punched above his weight in this one. I'll give you guys that. Steven, I was like, oh, cool. He's going to make a close game versus Ranger. But the fact that he's beating him is a massive, massive upset. Ranger's not meant to drop maps to Steven. But Steven has a way, as always, of ignoring the MMR disparity and just finding ways to kick people's ass, throw them off their game, and put their head in the tumble dryer, smack him around a little bit, give him a bit of a concussion. Steven's done it again. And Smooth Brain Steven with some beautiful strategies. All starts with 2 drones across the map at the beginning. and it ends with a very surprising Steven victory. If you guys enjoyed this one, click out some of the other games on the screen. Thanks for watching, enjoy it, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.